Hi everybody, I'm Sydney Makuchi. I'm a registered dietitian and a wellness manager with Flick Hospitality on behalf of Compass Group. Welcome to my kitchen this afternoon. I'm gonna show you a quick and easy recipe, and that's a mason jar shaker salad. And what I like so much about a salad recipe is that you have the flexibility to adjust the ingredients based on your personal dietary preferences. So what we're going to use today really is just a guideline, some suggestions in terms of balancing major nutrients, getting essential phytonutrients, fiber, but you can use the freedom you have in your own kitchen to make the selections that make most sense for you. So I'll demonstrate some of the modifications I've made based on the ingredients available to me and the recipe that will be provided to you. So this is a no stress recipe. There's no perfection here. We're gonna whip up something tasty and easy. The mason jar has become a super trendy way to carry around food. Not only is it sustainable, but it lasts, it's easy to clean, it's leak free because of the tight seal in the cap. Highly recommend. So on the go type of meal today. What I have in front of me is my mise en place, what you'll need for the salad today, and I've washed my hands first, so before you get ready to chop and pre-portion any of your ingredients, make sure you're washing your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, right? We want to start with very clean hands to be risk-free in the kitchen. But what we're making today is a salad with a fresh mixed greens, some quinoa. So I'm using a tricolor quinoa today. A great way to make a salad more satiating, help you feel fuller for longer, is by adding something with added fiber, protein, and healthy fat. Anytime we build a meal, whether it's a salad or a plate, we want to make sure we have a source of protein, we have a source of fat, whether it comes from our meat choice, fish, or other plant protein, or cooking oil, and also fiber. Those three nutrients help to slow our digestion so that we naturally feel more full and satiated over a longer course of time. So I think salads get a bad rap for being so light, right? They're a healthy choice, but maybe we feel hungry very soon after. So make sure you're choosing fiber, fat, and protein, right? Those are good for you nutrients, okay? So a good way to add some bulk, some fiber, and some more protein is by choosing a whole grain or a seed in your salad. I love quinoa because it's allergen friendly. It's easy to make, so it takes less than 20 minutes to steam, and it's got plenty of plant-based protein and fiber. One of my favorites. This is actually a seed, which is why it has more of the protein. So I made this in my Instapot. It took less than 20 minutes. You could boil on the stove. You could just pour hot boiling water over your quinoa and let it steep for a while. Whatever method works best for you. I only need about a cup. We're gonna use a half a cup in each of our salads today. My protein of choice, I'm using a white fish. So the recipe you'll receive calls for grilled chicken, which is perfectly fine. I don't have any today, so I'm gonna use a substitute and opt for a white fish. So something that's pretty neutral in flavor. A lean type of fish would be a great substitute in terms of mimicking some of the nutrient content of a grilled chicken breast. We do get the added benefit of some heart-healthy omega-3s when we opt for fish. Protein, and in this case, I'm using a grilled mahi-mahi in place of something like a grilled chicken. Some fresh seasonal fruit. I'm using blackberries in place of strawberries, which is in the traditional recipe. Some feta cheese, pecans, which are a healthy, antioxidant-rich nut, so good heart-healthy fats. We often think that they're really decadent types of nuts when we use them in a candied form or in pralines, but they're actually really antioxidant forward. So they're a good for you nut. We're gonna use a raw, unsalted variety. Fresh herbs, one of my favorite ways to elevate your food, to season it and really make it bright and delicious. We're gonna use parsley today and some fresh mint. A vinaigrette we're gonna make with a little onion. So if you have shallot at home, that's what the traditional recipe calls for. I don't have any, so I'm gonna substitute a Vidalia onion. You could use red onion as well. That would be a better, sweeter complement to the vinaigrette, in my opinion, but I'm gonna work with what I have. So white onion, a little fresh garlic that I've peeled and it's ready to chop, some additional vegetables for our salad, a crunchy, hydrating celery. So if you have celery at home, this is a great way to add crunch and a hydrating vegetable to your salad. We can get our daily water needs through vegetables and fruits too. So things like celery, cucumber are very hydrating, especially in the summertime. Radish, the recipe calls for a traditional red radish. I have daikon radish at home from a recipe I made earlier this week. If you've ever used daikon radish, it's a long root vegetable, and I simply shaved away or peeled away the tough outer skin that's sort of a brown texture, and you're left with this really pretty white flesh. It's the same peppery, a little bit bitter taste that radish has, so it'll be a perfect substitute. I've just peeled and chopped a little bit, just enough that we'll need for the salad today that's in front of me. The greens of choice would be a fresh spring mix or a mescaline green. You could substitute arugula or spinach if your preference is to use one type of green. I have a super greens mix in front of me, and I purchased an organic variety because of the delicate nature of greens. So things like berries that have a really delicate skin, greens. I like to opt for an organic variety because the farm chemicals, any herbicides or pesticides that are used on those vegetables or fruits tend to leach in much easier because of the delicate skin. So it's best, if you can, based on your budget, to opt for higher quality organic, and of course still wash when you return home. And if you're uncertain about which fruits or vegetables are best to buy organic, you can check out the environmental working groups Dirty Dozen and Clean 15. They put out a new list every year based on what's happening in the market and in farm production with the use of chemicals, so that you can stay safe but also be budget friendly, right? So we have our greens base. I'm using about 2 cups of greens. That's about 2 ounces. So our recipe today will be provided in weight-based. That gives us, as part of Compass Group, the most accurate nutrition information when we build recipes using the weight. So what I highly recommend is that you invest in a kitchen scale. And what I have in front of me, if you can see it, is a home scale. This is a relatively inexpensive way to really make sure you're meeting recipe recommendations, or to help you portion and practice serving control at home. If you're a baker, you know a scale is especially important for the right ratios of flour. I highly recommend. It's a very useful tool in the kitchen, relatively inexpensive, something you could buy on Amazon or in a local kitchen store. The last thing we'll mention before we get started is what's in our vinaigrette. So if you're pulling together your mise en place, all of the ingredients I mentioned with the exception of what's in our dressing. So I'm using an extra virgin olive oil. I recommend a high quality extra virgin oil here. It's got the most flavor, which is something we want to highlight in a vinaigrette. We're not using it for high heat cooking, so the natural heart healthy unsaturated fats and the polyphenols in the oil won't get burned or oxidized through any cooking process. So this would be a great application of your best extra virgin olive oil. Vinegar of choice today is apple cider. The recipe calls for balsamic. I'm out of balsamic, so this is my choice. It's a little more bitter than a balsamic, which has a sweeter, more syrupy type of flavor. So if you'd like, if you're substituting a white or an apple cider vinegar in the recipe today, you could add a little dash of honey or another sweetener, just a little bit, to take away and to counterbalance some of the acidity in our vinegar. And the last ingredient is our Dijon mustard. So this is a very classic addition to traditional vinaigrettes. It gives a good flavor, a little bit of salt, and it's something that you can keep in the fridge for weeks at a time and use it in multiple different kinds of marinades, sauces, or seasonings. So that's it. That's what I have in front of me. So before you start, make sure that you wash your hands with soap and water for about 20 seconds to make sure you're nice and clean. And then step 2 would be to turn on your grill. So what we'll do first is grill either your chicken if you're using poultry or our fish. So I have my grill set and we'll do that as step 1. Grill our fish and then let it sit to cool off a little bit while we prepare our vinaigrette and then start to build our salad with the vegetables. All right, let's get started. So we're ready to build our salad now. What we did ahead of time was prepare the quinoa. You watched me grill the fish, so I've used 1 6-ounce fillet divided, which will be 2 portions here. I've chopped my nuts, the radish, the celery, and our blackberries. My fresh mint is ready to tear and sprinkle on top. And we put together our quick vinaigrette, which could be chilled while you prepare the other vegetables or serve at room temperature. So build as you please. Grab your mason jar, fill it with greens, and start with your toppings.